Hello everybody and welcome to FaithPoint Online. My name is Ben, I'm the campus pastor here, and I'm so glad that you decided to join us for worship tonight. If this is your first time with us, you are in luck. This is the 5th Saturday of the month, and every time we have 5 Saturdays in a month, we do something special on that 5th Saturday, and this month is no exception. We gathered together a panel of teachers and educators and administrative staff from some of the schools in our area to talk about the ways that they bring their faith into their work in a place where it's not exactly easy to do that. So it's a really interesting conversation, whether you are a fellow educator or a student or a parent of a student, or you just live in a world where you've been to school. This is a really interesting look at the ways our teachers and our school staff bring their faith into the school system. I hope this means a lot to you. I hope you'll jump into the chat, create a nickname, and kind of join us in the conversation as we go. We'll expound on the points that they make as we go. So jump into the chat, join the conversation, and I'm not gonna take up any more time. Let's go ahead and get started.
Hey friends, what's happening? I wanted to welcome you to the Gull home, where Kathy has graciously lifted up and opened up her house to us and some off-the-scene young people that if we glance back that way, you'll know that they're making faces and all the other things. But the conversation that we are having, oh, there we go. Oh man, good stuff. But the conversation we want to have today, and why we will have them in studio, I guess, is because we want to talk about ways that we can live the ordinary time lives that we've been talking about all summer in practical ways that make an impact in our lives. And so we have a panel of teachers and educators today coming together to talk about kind of how they can live out their faith or rely on one another to live into that ordinary faith when it's really, really great days, when the days are really, really difficult, or the days leading up to break when everyone loses their minds. And so one of the first things that I wanted to do is just kind of go around the horn here and have everybody introduce themselves and kind of talk a little bit about your position or role in the school system.
My name's Kathy Gull, and I am an ELL teacher specialist. So I used to be in the classroom, and now I'm at the central office, which is a totally different experience, but a good one. So my role is to support the secondary ELL teachers in the county.
I'm Tonya Frazier. I'm a speech pathologist. I work at the elementary school level with students ranging from preschool through 5th grade in the regular education, and then also in the special classrooms.
And I'm Madeline Truszkowski, and I teach kindergarten. And I also teach homeschool model, where special ed students are included in the general ed classroom.
Nice.
And I'm Stacy Mallow, and I am a special educator, homeschool model. So I work with students who are in a general ed program, working with kindergartners and 2nd graders. So I get to plug into Madeline's room most of my day.
Nice.
And I'm Curt Carlton, and I teach middle school English and reading.
And I'm Julie Carlton. I was a teacher for 6 years, taught 2nd grade, and now I'm an administrative secretary at the elementary level.
Nice. Cool. So thinking about either your average day or the grand kind of scope of things that you have going on now, I guess a better way to back up a little bit is to say, why did you get into the education realm? Or how did that come to be in church language? When they talk about pastors, they talk, what's your call story? And it sounds very, very hoity-toity. What was this grand thing that you had and why you're teaching? And it could be anything from I didn't know what else to do to something a little bit more specific. So anybody have thoughts on that?
I don't know about you guys, but for me, there was never any other option. Like, I asked for a chalkboard when I was 4, and my poor little sister was doing math problems before she could sit up, and I had papers piled all over. So I knew that I wanted to be a teacher. So I just had never wavered from that, which I think is a luxury for some people, because I know a lot of people struggle with what they want to be when they grow up. But I get to be what I wanted to be when I grow up. So.
Nice.
I think I was called to work with children who have communication disabilities because they struggle and they're frustrated, especially at that younger age when they can't express themselves, and teachers are getting frustrated with them and they're getting frustrated with school, to help them to be able to understand the language of what's being used in the classroom, and as well as being able to express themselves, whether it's through speech or language or both. So I think that's what I was called to do, is to be able to influence and help those children, and then help the teachers so they can help their students as well as the parents, because it's a team effort.
Since I was 9, I always liked working with children younger than me, even though I was a child. So I liked organizing them and doing things with them and seeing them have fun. And so for me, I did not know that was going to lead me to be a teacher. My parents kind of had to wake me up to that a little bit. Like, this was your gift and this is what you're supposed to be doing. So it was kind of natural from there. So I kind of knew in high school that that's what was going to happen.
Yeah. I always worked with kids, starting at day camp and then babysitting, all those things through the years. And it was a process, though. Education is a really wide swath of experiences, but really this year was the year that I finally felt like all the pieces of the experiences I've had in my own life at home with my own children and my work experience kind of all came together. And I love working with the students who have special ed needs and their families, and it's a really cool thing to see it all, the path kind of become very clear.
And when I first went into college, I kind of did it on a dare, actually. I wasn't planning on it. My thought was auto mechanic. And then I actually found college very easy in comparison to my previous educational experiences. And as I went through, English was very easy for me. It came easily to me. And as I worked through, originally I wanted to become a college professor because I looked up to them and I saw what they were doing and thought it was awesome. And as I went through the education classes, I started looking at high school, but then when I student taught in a middle school, I was done. I was like, these kids are incredible. This is so much fun. So it kind of fell into one of those things where I thought, I'm actually getting paid to do this. This is fun.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Cool.
And I just came to a realization tonight. I played teacher when I was little, and I also played secretary when I was little. There you go. I'm like,
I get to do both.
I get to do both. Yeah. So, and it's fun. It's it's living your dream, I guess.
So I get to help out with. I do gym classes every Tuesday and Thursday for my daughter's little teeny tiny Catholic school, and I know that there are days that are really fantastic. And there are days that are really challenging. There are days where kids will come up to me and have been working on a skill and they finally get it and they get so excited. And then there are days where you've done the same thing a couple of times and the kids still are like, what are the instructions? Right after you have, and you're just like, wait a minute, what? Like you are speechless. And so what for you all are some of the highs and the lows, or some of the mountaintops and some of those things that are kind of frustrating in the midst of everything else?
There we go. A lot of mine have to do with the future things. When I hear from kids later on, and when I hear about something where somebody did something wrong, whether they ended up in prison or something bad happened, and that just absolutely breaks my heart. And it's one of those things where it's like, gosh, we invented so much time. And I remember having the meetings with the parents and trying to help the kid out, or even if it was a good kid and something went wrong, and just that eats at me. And then on the plus side is when I get contacted by former students, and I have friends on Facebook now who are former students and things like that, and they seek me out and want to know me from the adult perspective also. And so that lets me know that I did the right thing, and I worked with them to an extent that they thought I was they weren't just listening to me as an educator, but they also thought, he's a good guy, and I'd like to know him later on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, working with ELL students, it's different because, well, actually it's probably not very different from your populations, but they are the underdogs, and they have so many variables stacked against them that I feel like it's a privilege to work with the ones that a lot of people just kind of cross off and say they're not going to get it, either because they came too late, or it's interrupted education, or just all these variables that they have to overcome. And so when I see them walk across the stage at graduation, I'm like, I feel like they're my own, and I'm like, look at them, they did it, they made it, they graduated. Or if they, get through and get a good job where they can, those are the highs. But the lows are the ones who don't, and the ones who kind of, disappear. And then at this point, working with adults and supporting the teachers, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because I'm excited that I get to help all the other teachers, but it's really difficult because I'm not actually in the room with my own students.
I think that some of the hardest is to get other adults, whether it be caregivers or teachers, to get on board sometimes when they're frustrated with their student or their child, and to really take stock of what that child possesses as the good qualities, and how to build on them, and how to develop them in despite of their needs, and really how to celebrate that, because many times classroom teachers have so much on their plate, and when your student is the one that's falling behind and needs the extra attention, it can get very frustrating, which is completely understandable. But to get them on the team that celebrates the milestones, they might be smaller, but to have those be meaningful for them when they're overloaded and overwhelmed, and sometimes they feel they can't reach that student, to remind them that they can, to encourage them that you might be the one this year that makes a difference for that child, and to keep that in the forefront of their mind, what a special role they have, and that they were chosen to be the one.
A lot of the challenge is being the person that has to make that child, like, the child already shines as is, and you kind of have to bring that light to everybody else and help them see what the child is capable of, and what the successes, and it's not just the other staff members, but it's the other students, like teaching the other students compassion for students that may struggle, and then also letting the parents see how much you love their child, truly love their child. So I think the highs and the lows are almost the same for me, because I think the biggest challenge is the challenge of the students, but then that's the high at the end of the year to see their successes.
Yeah.
So,
but I think for me, the highs and lows, kind of piggybacking on what you said, was the conversations with the parents. And sometimes you have to be the one in a meeting to deliver sometimes heartbreaking news. And parents struggle with diagnosis sometimes, and it's having that compassion and understanding what they're going through. As a parent, I can completely relate to what that feels like. But also, like you said, just emphasizing to them over and over how much we love their child, and we want the best for their child, and we want to help them be all that they can be.
I love how you said that, though, how their light already shines, because it does. So it's like spreading that and telling other people their light shines. So no, they may not speak English, but they can learn, and they are here because, home isn't what it is like here.
well, I've often been asked if I would ever just go into special ed, but I truly enjoy teaching general ed with the special ed students included in the classroom, because it teaches the special ed students so much, it teaches the general ed students so much, and I think they leave with a much better view of what the world actually is after that, and how to navigate through it with compassion, and they truly do see the good in all of those students, even if they have a bad day. Seeing how much they care for each other is just amazing. It's really great. So.
I get to see a lot. my hardest days are when CPS is called, and then they pull the children out to interview them, and that's just heartbreaking, really hard to take. But my best days are I get all the bad kids in the in the school, like they get sent down to the office, and the relationship that I am able to create with them, because they're done, they're not yelling and screaming anymore. They're not, they're just calm, and so I will sit there and I'll say, now that we're calm, what happened, and so I get to the bottom of it. And like, oh, I see where that confusion was and what happened. And, I help them solve the problem. And that's really not my job, but I do it because I love it. And then I see the kids, the high flyers, eventually I'm like, this is what you need to do. When you're in the classroom, raise your hand if you're not sure. And, I don't want to see you in the office, and if I do, it's for a good thing. And I remember this one little boy, he came in, and he had his little chart, and he's like, look, I got all smiley faces today. So I celebrate that, and that's just what it's all about.
Yeah.
Nice.
One of the things that I often see a big struggle with is the negative staff members who can't see something bright in a student, who always talk about one or two students very negatively and talk down to them, and then kind of being able to talk to that kid separately and show them, no, you're okay. Yeah, you struggle sometimes with your behavior, but you're still all right. And just kind of giving them that little extra boost in the day type of thing to kind of get over this person who's being a jerk to them and is an adult and should know better.
Yeah. That is hard.
There was a lot of affirmation on that. Sometimes the adults are jerks. Right. And acknowledging the fact that, yep, you probably shouldn't have done X, Y, or Z, but your light is still shining. But, and so taking that's kind of maybe the surface of then the a deeper question that we want to ask is, those things that you talk about being able to partner with the students, with other teachers, with the parents, with the whole care system or educational system of the students and the children, from the office to the janitorial staff to, everybody, the people that serve them lunch. I remember that there were certain lunch lines that I would go in because they had the ladies that would just say, hey, how's it going? Instead of being the curmudgeon that's, serving up the whatever they're serving.
Meat.
Yeah, right? But so then behind that, if we were to peel away a couple of layers, right? Then what role does your faith play, or how does your personal faith then inform those decisions that we've kind of heard about, that gets you to the point where students are looking you up on Facebook and social media and going, man, I want to get to know you as a person, because, beyond the student's perspective, teachers don't live at the school, and they are people as well. So how does your faith inform some of those things?
I don't think that I could do what I do without it. Actually, I know I can't do what I do without it, because when it gets really hard or I get really frustrated with adults,
it's never the kids, right? It's never the kids that you're frustrated with.
I get really sad about some of the stories of my kids. I think, okay, what gets me up in the morning and what makes me say to myself, I'm going to make today awesome for whoever I'm with. It's because I feel like everything that I do, I'm trying to be an example of Christ's love. Because I can't go out and say, hey, there is no proselytizing in the public school. And because you do want to be respectful of all of the different people that come into your building and all the different people you support. You are respectful of that. But your actions and the way that you command yourself in a meeting and your patience, it's kind of the fruits of the Spirit, is what I was thinking. Because you exemplify the fruits of the Spirit. And the reason that you have those fruits is because you have your faith. I had a staff member ask me, why are you always so happy? I was like, you want the real answer? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, Because I'm a Christian. Because my happiness isn't my humanness. It's not based on humanness. It's, I've tapped into a never-ending well of happy. I was like, you have no idea. And that's the real answer. But I had to be asked that. And then I would answer. But, so it's you walk a fine line, but I really do believe it's your actions.
I think it's important to model kindness. That's the school where we work. There's the kindness campaign this past year of posters on the wall reminding students to be kind to one another. And I'm sure you can talk more about that, about things that actually happen in the classroom, to follow up with that students were rewarded for being kind more so than any other time I think that I've seen in our building. But I think that is infectious. And I think adults need reminders of that too, and to model that and how important it is, and how something so simple as a surprise small bouquet of flowers could make a colleague's day if you know that they're struggling with something, or just because. I think it's important that we champion that with one another, because it's needed. So I think that is somewhere that you can bring in your faith and your positive outlook, and share that with others that might be struggling, that might need that. This year was a very tough year for students who'd had some pretty rotten backgrounds in our building, whether it be abuse or foster care situations. So we needed a lot of that this year, and so we had a lot of opportunity to practice that. But I think it made a real difference in those kids' lives. And so, like you said, we can't actually talk about specifics unless someone asks. And I've had students ask me before, do you go to church? And I'll answer. And they like to be able to talk about it as well. So if we have a lunch date and we talk about things, it's interesting to share and let them talk about what's important to them and what their family values.
Well, and you guys, we'll come back to, I guess, some more thoughts if you guys have them. But you've mentioned a couple of times that the three of you work together. And so how is that system of support, or how is that a blessing? I'm not going to ask about a curse or anything like that. But
Not a curse.
Good answer.
It's not a curse.
It might be when you guys are doing VBS and that's all you talk about. But yeah, so I mean, how's that support system, knowing that there are some common value, helpful for you guys?
It's an open door, which is such a great feeling. I know if I'm having one of those days, or something's come up with one of my students or family, or something crazy from the people above us.
It's not just school. It's also family.
Yes, it's our family.
And you don't want your personal life to affect your classroom and your students, but that there are people at work that you can lean on and feel comfortable leaning on, where there's no judgment made or anything like that. And then the same support for the students in the classroom, which is great. I mean, I feel very privileged to be able to work with the people that I work with in my room. So it's
Agree. It's nice to have the people that know you, that also that you can say behind closed doors, am I crazy? Should I not feel that way? What did you think of that? Whatever the situation might be.
And it's also like the little things, like so-and-so sang this song today and she didn't work on Friday afternoons. So something exciting would always happen on the Friday afternoon. And I did not
They would
feel
save
weird.
it all up when Stacy's not there.
Telling somebody who didn't work in my room probably wouldn't care so much, but I knew that I could text Stacy and I would get this, oh, that's so great, back, I mean, that's always...
Shared successes.
Shared successes.
Yeah.
Nice, no matter how small, so... It's good to be able to share that.
Yeah. Throughout the years, I've had a couple of people here and there. Now there's somebody who has a room a couple of doors down, and he and I started kind of touching off as far as, like, he said something. I think he walked by my classroom and I had some Christian music playing, and he came in and we got to talking a little bit, and so we have that connection. And then actually with the kids, just kind of saying ditto. Sometimes something will come up, or a kid will be talking about how they went to camp, and one girl broke her arm at camp in the fall, and I was like, oh, well, what kind of camp? And she said, oh, Christian camp. And so that little things that tip off. And they
good ad for camp. Come to Christian camp. We'll break you.
But so and
Yeah.
acting, playing out and making sure my actions and how I address the kids, how I work with them, how I work with their parents and the people around me, since I don't try to hide it, that it's clear. Okay, kind of like you said, why are you so happy? Well, I'm a Christian. I know that I've got this.
Yeah. It's already been won.
Yeah.
We don't have to win it.
And Curt and Julie are two of the most patient people at camp. It would be great because our week of camp, we really do ask, like the things that you guys were saying about special ed, like that's kind of our mentality at camp is like, give us the kids who have a hard time or whose community around them has a hard time seeing them shine. And then let us bring them to us. And we will show the world, how they shine. And we knew that we could give any of the kids that were having a hard time to Julie or Curt, and they would just sit with them. And Katie would come up to me, my wife, and say, "Oh my gosh, it's so great," And like you guys would be doing something with some kids, and it was this kind of reflective thing of like you're not doing it because I really love to color code all the beads that fell on the ground, or whatever, or talk about like the every little detail of Minecraft or whatever. But it's this beautiful thing of I'm doing this as a ministry and as a reflection of God's love for everybody. It's cool. Yeah. Well, if you could tell parents one thing. This will be our last question, I think. But if you could tell parents or caregivers or community, like whatever, as a parent looking into a community of people gathered here and all across the nation on our online community, what is one thing that you could say, maybe from your personal place where you are right now or something? Like what's the secret sauce?
For me, I often see a lot of immigrant parents coming in to register, and they are scared to death, and I just put on a huge smile and I welcome them and I just say, "Welcome to Daly. You're here. You've made it. Everything's going to be great from this point on," and just to have that smile, they relax and they're like, "Oh, this is good.
Somebody's
and I
help
see
me.
that all the time, and I love being able to do that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So the takeaway there is that you're in good hands. That people have your back.
Yeah.
Slow down and breathe. Nice.
And that's what I was going to say is trust us. Trust us. We really want the best for your child, and we love your kids. So.
And there's, like so many other things, there's a very, very small minority of folks that just don't care. But the vast majority really do and want the success for not just the classes that they've been entrusted with, but all the students of the school. And so to say, we care. It's not just to make it through the day and a paycheck. Yeah.
And their successes, we feel like they're our own children's successes, and then their failures, we really feel it. I mean, I'm sure everybody sitting around this table, I think about my kids all the time. And I'm not talking about my biological children. I'm talking about all the students and the teachers, and I think about them all the time and what would be best. And I really, I'll never give up. I'll never stop until I feel like there's an equitable and rigorous education for all of our students. I'm not going to stop. So go ahead, send them because they're going to be awesome.
Bring them.
Bring them in.
Nice.
So,
And I think that parents need reminders, and it depends on the parent, the type of parent that you're looking at. But society, I think, is breeding a lot of very competitive parents who want their child to be the best of the best. And I think it's important in those situations to remind them that their child is awesome. We think they're awesome. There's a lot to celebrate. So to take time to do that. It's really easy to find fault and find things they might not be the best at or very good at, but there's so much to celebrate that just remember to do that and that we're doing that, and it's okay.
And we love them the way they are. We love them the way they are.
And to piggyback off of that just a little bit, I think the focus, like when they come home from school, what did you get on your spelling test? How did you do on your math test?
Right.
Like focusing on grades.
Some groans across the table.
And I think with the kindness campaign for this year at our school, like, how are you kind today would be a better question at the dinner table, because I mean, we kind of take care of the grade stuff. So
I tell my own kids when they walk out the door in the morning, be kind to somebody. Make sure you include them. Make somebody feel good today. Be awesome.
Yeah. Who did you help today?
yeah.
Nice.
I guess similarly, but since I work with kids who are a little bit older, I often will tell them somewhere at the beginning of the year that my goal of this year, I don't care which one of you it is, every last one of you, and how you act this year, anything along those lines, I would love to hear 15 years from now that you are doing awesomely well, you are doing what you want to do, you are happy, whatever your happiness would look like for you in 15 years, that's your life. And that's my goal for you, and that's all I want for you. I would love the parents to know that that's where I think 99, like you said, like 99% of all teachers, that's kind of our goal. That's what we want. And just kind of trust us in that and know that that's where we're coming from. So.
Awesome. All right. So on my drive here, okay, I've been thinking about this. So FaithPoint has been partnering with the middle school that we worship in a really powerful way already this year. And so we're helping design some t-shirts for the middle school teachers, okay? And on the back is going to be this like blank kind of text box. And what the teachers are going to be asked are, give one word or one of those superlative things about what you want this year to be, okay? And so think for a second about what your one word would be if you were writing a word on the back of your shirt. All right, this is the bonus question that it's like the spelling test where you don't get to prepare for these words. Do you kids hear how when something surprising happens, all of your teachers are going, this is not scheduled.
I already know mine.
Oh, okay.
I carved it in our sidewalk when they repaved. I had to. Love.
Love. Nice.
That's it.
I don't know. I feel like I'm going to say progress.
Nice.
But I think there's so many different levels and so many different areas that we need to make progress, whether it's in our curriculum or whether it's in our relationships between us as teachers, whether it's in our ELL student performance, language progression, just progress. And I'm not asking for we're all going to be successful. I'm just saying we all need to make progress.
Yeah.
So that would be mine.
Nice.
Did I take yours?
No, only one?
Yes.
I know.
Yes.
Share yours. More than one.
Oh my gosh.
I'm struggling between two.
Are there-
Hashtag. There you go. So say one and then hashtag the other one.
So I would go with shine.
Nice. Hashtag.
Well, that was another direction. My other one was along your lines of persevere.
Okay, we'll keep
that's a good
shine.
one.
Yeah,
That's
so I'm
solid.
gonna go with
That's
I like
solid.
that. I like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
The tribe has spoken. Good. Pride.
Pride.
Nice.
I have a quote in my classroom. It's a Disney quote about it being a happy place, like welcome. And so I like my classroom to be the students' happy place. Even if they have lots of other happy places, and even if they don't, I like the classroom to be their happy place. Mine would be hashtag happy place. But.
Yep, there we go. Nice. That works.
That would have
And
been in
it's
your
Disney.
room.
That's why we get along so well.
I got it.
Narrowing it to one word is difficult, but I'll just go plain awesome.
Yeah.
I think that encompasses it well.
Yeah.
It does.
Cool. Thank you guys for your conversation, your thoughts, and yeah, the insights. I think it's a really good reminder that our educators have, number one, the best intentions for our students, and secondly, the kind of groundswell that comes out that we see on the outside is rooted in some powerful stuff. So thank you for that. Awesome.
Thank you.
Bye.